Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're on a bit of a mission looking at our internal architecture.
Internal architecture, I like that.
Yeah, because in
Yeah.
this world, it's complex, stressful, constant noise. The big question really is, how do you find that deep, genuine peace inside?
Right, and it sounds like a question straight out of a modern wellness seminar, doesn't it?
It really does.
But funny enough, the framework we found most helpful is, well, centuries old. We've been digging into Imam Ghazali's Ihyâü Ulûmi'd-Dîn.
The revival of the religious sciences, a huge work.
Monumental. And specifically, we're zoning in on his book about Sabr and Şükür.
Okay, so Sabr and Şükür, for anyone listening who might not be familiar, let's break that down. The core idea we found is pretty striking.
It really is. Ghazali's Sabr, which translates roughly to patience, perseverance, it maps almost exactly onto what modern psychology calls resilience.
And Şükür, gratitude, is basically the bedrock of mindfulness and, well, living gratefully.
Precisely. And Ghazali uses this wonderful metaphor. He calls them the two wings of the heart.
Two wings.
Yeah, you need both to fly, right? To maintain spiritual balance. So we need to explore how these work together, not just as nice ideas, but as active, dynamic ways to engage with life.
Okay, let's start with wing number one, Sabr. Patience. Usually we think of patience as, I don't know, passively waiting, stuck in traffic, maybe.
Yeah, the doctor's waiting room kind of patience.
Exactly. But Ghazali's definition feels much stronger, more active.
It's definitely active. He defines Sabr as consciously holding the soul according to the requirements of intellect and spiritual duty. It's an effort.
Holding the soul, like reining it in.
Exactly. Reining it in against impulses, against immediate reactions.
Yeah.
Stabilizing the self.
You mentioned the heart is seen as a kind of battlefield of Marek. What's fighting there?
It's this constant tug of war.
Yeah.
On one side, you have the religious or disciplined motive, what reason and faith tell you is right.
Okay.
And on the other, you have the heva, the immediate, sensual, impulsive desires. Sabr is when that disciplined motive wins out and holds steady.
So Sabr isn't just a feeling, like calmness. It sounds more like a skill, maybe, or a strength you build.
I think that's a great way to put it, an internal muscle. And the sources say the reward for developing it is huge.
Yeah, described as half of faith, and the reward itself is limitless, he says.
Right. And practically speaking, it's the root of psychological resilience.
Yeah.
If you can master Sabr, you gain control over anger, frustration, stress.
Because those are often just impatience with reality.
Pretty much. Your desires clashing with what is.
Ghazali breaks Sabr down further, doesn't he? It's not just one thing.
He outlines three main types, or levels. The first is Sabr in acts of worship and duty, Tada Sabr.
So persevering in prayer, fasting, doing good deeds even when you feel lazy or distracted.
Exactly. Fighting that spiritual inertia. Then the second type, which Ghazali actually considers the hardest and most valuable.
Which one is that?
It's Haramdan Sabr, resistance against forbidden things, against desires.
Against sin, greed, anger, envy, all the intense stuff. Now that seems incredibly relevant today, maybe more than ever.
How so?
Well, think about it. Our whole modern economy, advertising, social media, it's practically built to fuel exactly those desires Ghazali says we need to resist. Instant gratification is the goal.
That's precisely why he likely ranked it highest. It's a constant internal battle against forces actively trying to sway you. Resisting the urge to consume, to compare, to react impulsively, it is harder than just bearing an external difficulty.
Which brings us to the third type.
Right. Musbet Sabir. Steadfastness against external hardships.
This is the classic one, enduring illness, loss, poverty, misfortune with dignity and without falling apart.
Exactly. All three require that inner stability, that active choice not to rebel against circumstances or your own lower nature. But yeah, that second type, resisting internal desires, that's where the core self-mastery work happens, according to Ghazali.
Okay, so Sabr is the shield, the anchor. Let's look at the other wing. Şükür, gratitude. How does that fit in?
If Sabr helps you navigate the lows, Şükür helps you navigate the highs and appreciate the baseline. But again, it's not passive. It's not just feeling thankful.
It's active, too. How?
Ghazali breaks it down into three essential parts. You need all three for true Şükür.
What are they?
First, the heart marifa. This is the knowledge, the deep conviction that every single blessing comes from a divine source, from God.
The internal belief.
Second, the tongue kaval. This is actually expressing it, saying alhamdulillah, praising, acknowledging the blessings out loud.
So verbalizing, it matters.
It does. And third, and this is maybe the most crucial practical part, action amel, or using your limbs, your body. The blessing itself.
Action. You mean using the blessing in a specific way?
Precisely. Using the blessing in accordance with the giver's intention. Ghazali gives really concrete examples.
Like what?
Well, the shukr, the gratitude for your eyes, isn't just seeing, it's using them properly, like overlooking the faults of others you might see, or reading something beneficial.
Okay.
The shukr for wealth isn't just having it, it's infagya, spending it generously, helping others. The shukr for health is using that energy for worship, for good deeds, not wasting it.
So gratitude is demonstrated by how you use the gift.
Exactly. It's about employing the resource righteously.
And this ties right back into modern well-being research, doesn't it? We know gratitude practices like journaling boost happiness. Ghazali mentions a divine promise too.
Yes, the Quranic verse. If you are grateful, I will surely increase you in favor. It's a guarantee.
That's powerful.
And practically, practicing shukr cultivates qanat, contentment. Real, deep contentment.
Which is the antidote
to the modern consumption frenzy, as you called it. The feeling that you never have enough. Shukr prevents that nankurlik, that psychology of ingratitude, by forcing you to focus on what you do have.
So we have Sabr for resilience, Shukr for contentment. Why are they inseparable? Why the two wings? Can't you just focus on being patient when things are tough and grateful when they're good?
Because life isn't neatly divided like that, is it? And the human heart isn't either. Ghazali's point is you need both simultaneously for equilibrium. Lose one, and you're unbalanced, you crash.
So they manage the extremes.
Exactly. The highs and the lows. Without both, your spiritual balance is gone.
Can you explain that balancing act a bit more? How do they counteract our weaknesses?
Think of it like this. Sabr is the anchor, the linger. When storms hit hardship, loss, pain, social, Sabr keeps your heart from being dragged into despair, anger, or rebellion against fate. It holds you steady.
Okay, the anchor in the storm.
Then shukr is like the rudder, the duman. When things are going well, you have health, wealth, success. Ease, shukr, steers you away from the pitfalls.
Which are?
Arrogance, thinking you achieved it all yourself. Heedlessness, forgetting the source of the blessings, becoming spoiled or complacent. Shukr keeps you humble and mindful.
It's interesting. Both seem like expressions of tevekkul, that deep reliance on God.
Absolutely. Sabr is trusting and accepting God's decree when it brings difficulty. Shukr is trusting and appreciating God's grace when it brings ease. They're two sides of the same coin of reliance.
And they can work together even in the same situation, right? I found that fascinating. Being patient and grateful for the same hardship.
Yes, that's a really sophisticated point Ghazali makes. You practice sabr for the pain, the difficulty itself. You endure that. Right. But you practice shukr alongside it. Gratitude that maybe the calamity wasn't worse than it is. Gratitude for the hidden wisdom, hikmet, you might learn from it. Gratitude for the opportunity to practice sabr itself.
Wow. That moves way beyond just coping. That's finding meaning and growth, even in suffering.
It really shifts the perspective. Now, there was historically some debate about which virtue is higher or more efdal.
Oh. What were the arguments?
Well, some argued for sabr because its reward is described as limitless, and it's seen as the hallmark of prophets and saints who faced immense trials.
Makes sense. What about shukr?
The argument for shukr is that it represents afiyat, well-being, ease, blessing. And ultimately, well-being is preferable to tribulation. You ask God for ease, not hardship.
So who wins?
Ultimately, Ghazali and others conclude they're both essential. And perhaps the highest state isn't just sabr or shukr, but makam marusa. Full, complete, joyful acceptance of whatever comes from the divine decree, good or bad. It's beyond just enduring. It's embracing reality with contentment.
Moving from just surviving to actively thriving spiritually, no matter what.
Exactly. True peace independent of circumstances.
Okay, this is profound, but how do we actually do this? How do we cultivate these wings today, practically? What techniques did Ghazali suggest that still work?
For Sabr, a key practice is muhasebi, self-reckoning or accountability.
Like a daily review.
Precisely. At the end of the day, you consciously review your actions. Where were you impatient? Where did you lose your temper or give in to impulse? You note it, regret it, and resolve to improve.
That sounds like cognitive behavioral therapy almost. Identifying triggers, tracking behavior.
Very similar principles. Another is muraqabi, vigilance or mindfulness. Staying conscious moment by moment that your actions are seen, that they matter, keeping awareness high.
Staying present and accountable.
And crucially, contemplating the reward. Reminding yourself of the promise that ease comes after difficulty, like in Surah Inshirah. That hope, fuels perseverance.
Okay, so structured review, mindfulness, and focusing on the positive outcome? What about building Şükür, gratitude? Especially when, as we said, everything seems designed to make us feel we lack things.
The core practice is simple, yet powerful. Nimetler Simek. Counting your blessings.
Literally counting them.
Yes, consciously identifying and acknowledging even the smallest things you usually take for granted. Your breath, clean water, sight, family, a moment of peace.
So the gratitude journal trend, it's basically this ancient practice.
Pretty much.
Mhm.
The goal is to train your mind, your heart, to see abundance instead of scarcity, to shift your default focus.
Makes sense.
And then the action part we talked about. Consciously using your blessings correctly, using your health for good, your time productively, your knowledge to help others, thinking about those who have less.
Yeah.
That also cultivates gratitude for what you have.
When you use a blessing well, it reinforces your appreciation for it.
Exactly. Action cements the feeling.
This has been incredibly clarifying. Sabr and Şükür aren't passive states at all. They're active, dynamic tools. Sabr is that shield, that resilience against internal weakness and external storms.
And Şükür's as the rudder, the source of contentment, guarding against arrogance and the trap of materialism.
Together, they're essential for keeping that spiritual balance, that manevi denge, no matter what life throws at you.
And it shows how this ancient wisdom from Ghazali aligns so well with modern psychology. These aren't just religious concepts, they're practical, actionable tools for finding peace and contentment today.
Which really brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe reflect on. Ghazali saw the heart as this constant battlefield between faith, discipline, and immediate desire. So in our world today, saturated with instant gratification, always showing you what you don't have, which fight do you think is harder, but maybe more rewarding? Is it the fight for Sabr resisting all those urges to consume, react, indulge immediately? Or is it the fight for Şükür, actively cultivating deep, genuine contentment and gratitude for what you already possess right here, right now? Which battle demands more from you today?
A really powerful question to take into your own muhasabah, your self-reckoning.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.